Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the spoiler alert that comes after the spoiler. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. So, Trevin, lovely Trevin.
Yes.
What is your dreadful dilemma this week?
Well, I decided to use my spoiler alert intro because I'm actually going to talk about the movies.
Okay.
We've all had one of those people that just completely ruins a movie and doesn't think it through when they do it.
Yep, sure do.
It's the worst. So anyway, Emily and I went to go see the movie the other night. We went and saw the movie Infinity Pool. It's a little more on the artsy side, and so it's not a super big mainstream movie.
Okay, I was like, I don't think I've heard of that.
It is what is considered a body horror movie. Are you familiar with this?
No, you know I'm not.
I didn't think so. So it is directed by Brandon Cronenberg.
Okay.
And I forget what his dad's name is. Anybody who's a film nut is probably screaming at their phone right now. But his dad made body horror movies, and now he kind of makes body horror movies. And so basically they're these movies that give you these weird images of the body doing weird things that kind of make you cringe.
Ew, God.
And just kind of gross things. So Infinity Pool is almost like a body horror version of White Lotus, kind of. It's a movie that has to do with rich people and talks about rich people and rich people things.
Love that.
So Emily was like, I really want to go see a movie. And I said, there's nothing really out I want to see, but I wouldn't mind watching Infinity Pool. Now, Emily, anytime, if she were to see something about this movie, she would have probably not wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
But I was like, are you sure you don't want to watch the trailer first? And she's like, no, I'll take the surprise. And I'm like, I really think you should think about this one.
Ooh, so did she?
She did not watch the trailer, and we went. But that's not really the funny thing that happened. And there will be some minor spoilers here. I'm going to talk about the movie. I'm not going to give away any plot spoilers, but I will say, if you were going to look up, why is this movie rated R? And they kind of tell you some things that happen that tell you why it's so bad.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about to tell you. So I'm not going to spoil the story of the movie.
Okay.
So anyway, we're watching the movie. When we went to buy tickets, the back far right seat was taken. And I thought, that's really weird. Who in their right mind would buy tickets in a theater where you can reserve seats, get the very back far right one? And I thought, unless it's like a weird teen just getting one ticket so they can sneak in and go to other things, because they know it won't interfere with other people wanting to buy a ticket.
Okay.
So that was always in the back of my mind. Halfway through this movie, a group of 4 teens sneak into our theater, like a little over 2 hours long. So these kids show up and I'm like, oh, they snuck in. They're just like, hee, like giggling in the back. And you're like, hey, shut the fuck up. We're being bad.
Oh,
and then
my God.
a little bit later, one of the kids leaves and then comes back with like 6 other kids. And they're like,
oh, my God.
carrying takeout containers and stuff like that. It almost felt like the kids were like, hey, you want to come over to my place? I've got this theater.
Oh, my God. You're kidding me.
But the joke was kind of on them. Because this movie is very weird and very bizarre and shows very weird body stuff. And there's like a part where they show these old people completely stripped naked and getting ready to be executed. And it's up close on the way that private parts may look different as you age.
Oh my God. So you're telling me these teens snuck in and saw some old balls on the screen?
They saw some old everything.
Oh my God.
And they're in the background just kind of like giggling with each other. And like as things start happening, you just hear them like, what the fuck? And there's a part where there's this big orgy scene and it's super...
With the old people?
No.
Okay.
This orgy scene and it has a bunch of weird colors and it's super trippy. And it was almost messing with my eyes a little bit because it was so strobe lighty.
Oh, God.
And there was a part where a woman's boob comes up and a guy's about to put his mouth on the nipple, but then the nipple starts morphing and it looks like a poop coming out, and it just starts coming out in like this long poop noodle.
Excuse me.
And so these kids are like, what have we walked into? And they're completely just thrown off by what's going on. And while they're there and thinking about how weird it must be for them, and not only are they blown away by the weird things that they're watching, they're in the very back row looking at the backs of heads of adults who are just like, good entertainment. And we're just sitting there soaking it up and, obviously just quietly enjoying it while these kids are just like, what's going on?
I have to say, I feel like I may be more on the side of the teens. I feel like that would have been me if I would have been in that theater. I think I would have been like, what's wrong with all of you? Like snapping in front of all your faces, like, turn your eyes away. What are we doing in here?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I know that we have movie quotes of movies that I saw for the first time in middle school or high school or something that's like jokes. That's just because it jolted me so much at that age.
Totally.
And Infinity Pool is going to be one of those things that when they're in their 30s, they're going to be like, oh, hey, remember when we walked into that movie and a 20-year-old woman was breastfeeding a 40-year-old man? And it's like, yeah, I do remember that. I'll never forget that. At least I knew what I was getting into.
Totally.
And Emily at least knew to expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
But these kids...
Did she like it? Did she enjoy it or hate it?
She actually didn't mind it. This movie was a lot more tame compared to his other movies, especially as far as story-wise. Sometimes they're just a bunch of weird visuals and you're like, what did I just watch story-wise? But this one, the story made pretty good sense.
Oh, okay. Well, a movie review kind of is tied into your dreadful dilemma. What a lovely little treat for everyone sitting at home.
Indeed. I thought it was fun, and you may too.
God. Wow.
Don't watch it on a first date, though.
I probably won't watch it ever, but if anyone else does, definitely hit us up.
Yeah.
I also have a dreadful dilemma, and it actually has to do with this evening. So it might not be exactly what you think.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to get so into it, but we are both invited to a friend's, it's her housewarming party. Mm-hmm. We're both invited to a party this evening, and it starts at 9 p.m., right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably to the regular person that has a lot of energy, that's no big deal.
When I was in my early 20s, that would be the earliest I would start.
That would be so damn early. I was actually just telling my mom and Jordan, I was like, okay, I cannot believe that I used to wait and get ready and like pregame and all these things, and I wouldn't even go to my destination, the first destination of the night, until midnight.
Because there's always more than one.
That is insane. So anyway, I'm so old. I feel like I'm just turning into an elderly woman right here on the mic.
Get off my lawn.
So anyway, my husband, he gets up really early for work, and he's over here complaining like, this party starts at 9.
Who in their right mind?
I know. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm already tired just thinking about it. And that's my dreadful dilemma, really, is that we used to go hard. We used to stay out. We used to just let our hair hang down. And now we're talking about, this party starts at 9?
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Emily has her big cookie thing tomorrow, so there's a chance I won't even go.
Yeah.
But you're talking about going early, and that's the thing is, I know that you said you'll be there when it starts, and you'll probably leave early.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's just down the road, you know?
I know.
I gotta go drive into the city just to make a small appearance. That sucks. Because I know I'm not gonna go hard. I know there's gonna be beer pong, and boy, do I love it, but I'm not gonna play.
Yeah. You wouldn't play? You wouldn't play against me?
I mean, I would maybe play, but I wouldn't get into it because I wouldn't let myself lose myself to the party.
I see. I might just have to lose myself at this point. I get very limited mom nights out, even if it's not something I want to go to or do if I have a mom's night out. Even if it's just a dinner. Even at Emily's birthday dinner, I was like, whoop, whoop, like at a fancy table.
Time, yeah.
Was having a ball. We'll see how tonight goes. Maybe I'll give everyone an update on if we live it up or not.
Yeah, we can let people know. So before we jump into our segment, it's a special episode.
It's so special.
Not only is this episode 99, but this is our first triple feature, not only of the year, but honestly, since we changed our name, I think.
I think it is too. I didn't go back and actually look back. Did you?
I didn't, but I think it is.
I know, because I can't remember anyone. I think that's totally accurate. And what a humongous guest do we have on today? Because my God.
Yes, we have Scotty Landis, the self-proclaimed Banana Boy number 2 from the Bananas podcast. Banana Boy number 2 on the show, number 1 in our hearts.
Exactly.
And I am so happy to have him on here. Besides just running the Awesome Bananas podcast, which I am a huge fan of, he is also a writer of films. He wrote the movie Ma, and he was a writer for the show Workaholics. And I know you haven't heard a story yet, but he did Lovely.
Oh my God, I can't wait. So, as I'm sure most of you know, I actually, when we have a triple feature, I don't listen to the guest story. I wait until Trevin has worked his lovely magic on it with sound effects and music. And so I haven't even heard it yet. And so I'm going to be listening right along with you guys. I can't freaking wait to hear it. I know that God, I've been talking about my husband so often in this podcast, and I hate the word husband. That was a dreadful dilemma so long ago, I feel like it was. But he is a huge, huge, huge fan of Workaholics. So the fact that we are even doing anything with somebody who's attached to that show, he was nerding out a bit.
Yeah, he always hears our numbers and stuff, and he's just like, what? That's weird. People want to listen to you guys talk.
I know.
But now we're like, oh, guess what? We have somebody who worked with Workaholics, and he's just like, you guys, I'm your number 1 fan now. I think we're his next tattoo.
You know what? I don't think he actually cared about our show in any way, shape, or form until this moment. So thank you for being our guest reader this week to Scotty.
Yes, excited and honestly so thankful.
So stick around for that.
Yeah, as always, we save the best for last. And this will probably end up being a longer episode just because of that.
Yeah. So before we jump into story time, Trevin and I are both going to share a killer fact.
Hello?
We've traced the facts. They're coming from inside the house.
Killer fact.
And I am going first.
I'm a little scared what you have for me today because I'm still reeling, and I know that there's episodes in between this one and that one, but I'm still reeling from the otter facts, to be honest with you.
The otters, it cut deep.
It cuts so damn deep.
And I think a lot of people were ashamed of their favorite animal. So I'm going to talk to you about a little location called the Murphy Ranch in California. Are you familiar with this ranch?
I don't think so.
The Murphy Ranch was actually a Nazi compound.
Oh my God, no.
So the Murphy Ranch is in Rustic Canyon, Los Angeles. It's not too far outside from the Palisades. It's really not that far from the ocean and the beach, really.
Okay.
But there's a lot of weird rumors and stuff about it. One of the stories was that the owners were told that basically the end of the world was going to be coming and they needed to build this self-sustainable sort of compound in it. And then they were going to have their own giant fuel tank and their own little water purifying building and whatever.
Okay.
There was also rumors that they were building it in case Germany won the World War. And so that it would be like a place for the Nazi lord to come live when he takes over America. There's a bunch of different things about it. There's a lot to read about it, really. Okay. And there's a lot of secret stuff about it, too, because there really isn't a lot of proven stuff behind it. They say that the people that owned it originally changed their names. They were Nazi sympathizers, just a bunch of weird stuff.
Ugh, screw them.
So this was before World War II. So really, Hitler wasn't really a big thing. It was more of the first Nazi regime. The day after Pearl Harbor, America seized it. They were seizing anything that seemed anti-America at the time, and they pretty much shut it down. As it got older, some of the buildings became unsafe and they demolished them, but there's still buildings still standing in there. There's a powerhouse and an all concrete building that once contained a diesel generator, and a lot of the entryways have been sealed, but it's just covered in really interesting graffiti and it's just kind of broken down. And it's really cool because there are pictures of urban explorers who have walked down. It's basically these big steps that just kind of look like they go off into the jungle or the woods. And then down in there, you can see remnants of buildings or like the couple of still standing buildings. I don't think it's trespassing to go, from what I understand. I think you just have to walk all the way in there, which I would feel really safe going that far deep in there. But
yeah,
what do I know?
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. I have not heard of that ranch, but I thought it was going to be more of a commune culty kind of situation. Just because I hear those stories so much where a cult is formed and they're like, we need to relocate. And a lot of them go to California and they're on ranches. So I thought it was like that, but wow.
Yeah, this was just pretty much preparing for the Nazis. There was a story that a man had contacted the rich people and said something like the world was going to be over, and the rumors say that he had like supernatural powers and said that he was going to bring forth the end of the world in some way, and so they needed to be prepared.
Wow, that kind of reminds me of the doomsday prepper shows and stuff like that. I don't know, Trevin, would you be a doomsday prepper in any stage of life, do you think?
If I wasn't being a weird conspiracy dude and I actually saw some real signs of it, sure.
Really?
If
Okay.
I felt, I mean, I'm a guy who's all about preparation, but I'm only going to, I'm not going to prepare on a hunch. I would have to be seeing a lot of things really kind of going wrong for me to even waste my time.
I feel you. I feel you on that. I do find it fascinating to watch the shows, but I'm just kind of like, whatever, you know?
Yeah, you watch a lot of that TLC reality type stuff anyway.
I love it. I can't get enough. Well, I also have a killer fact for you all today. For those that know me, I absolutely love cows. We have talked about this a lot.
Yes, you do.
And another thing that I really love is art. So today I'm going to combine the two into a unique blend for my killer fact for us all. So I found this artist and I felt like our show is a really great place for me to discuss this. There is a German artist named Werner Hartl, and he creates beautiful sepia tone paintings that represent the country life, if you will. But the interesting part about his artwork is that he isn't using traditional paint to make his paintings.
I was wondering what the catch was.
Instead, Werner is using cow poop.
Oh.
So, before he became an artist, he had apparently worked as a farmhand, and he noticed that the cow dung had a very similar consistency to that of paint. So this made him curious enough that he collected a cow poo sample and took it home and started to experiment with it. He tried to do paintings on all different kinds of surfaces and all different mediums. And I read a whole interview about him that the first piece he wanted to create was just kind of almost like a satire type of piece of art called Bullshit. And he was painting with cow poop. But as his artwork progressed, he actually noticed that he really loved using it as a medium and kind of just turned this into his thing. So I want to show you a piece, Trevin, because I gotta say, his work is pretty damn good. But can you imagine the stench?
Nah, it's a piece of shit. They are really nice. So it kind of looks like a children's book from the 20s or something.
Yeah.
Like an old Winnie the Pooh kind of art style.
Yeah, it's like watercolors, but with shit. Now, he does, and you can see in this image right here, he does sometimes use gold foil.
Oh.
Cow poop is the main thing, and then, oh, sorry, not gold foil, gold leaf. It's kind of the same thing. But he uses that in some of his pieces just to give contrast to the cow poop, apparently. I'm wondering if after a certain amount of time, does the smell go away? Or I would just love to go to one of his exhibits just to know.
I bet there's a way you can kind of like paper mache it, sort of dry it out. You'd kind of have to do something to protect it because I would think it eventually would flake.
That's true.
So he's probably got to do something to sort
like
of laminate
some sort of spray.
or something.
He laminates them. I don't know. But I found his artwork and his story and his medium to be very, very interesting. And like I said, it let me talk about two things that I love.
I love that. I'm going to hijack this for just a second. Now that I've got this audience, and I just think we should all hear this stupid thought I had.
Okay, let's hear it.
I, at one point, before we did this show, had this epiphany, and I was wanting so badly to do this. And Emily was like, you probably shouldn't do this. And I was like, I want to do this. Emily came from art school. So as we started dating, especially in the beginning of our dating, she would be like, oh, we have to go to this art show for this friend. We have to go to an art show for this friend. Okay, as an outsider, and I love art, but I understand that sometimes there's just art that you don't get, you know what I mean? Sometimes just the artist makes it and it does something for them. And some people can walk in and go, those 3 squares are beautiful. And then you can walk in and say, it's 3 squares. I don't get it. So I was feeling so inspired because I was in the world for too long, and it went to my head. And I thought, I want to rent out a gallery and have a gallery weekend. And I wanted to do my own exhibit called Shit Art. And I wanted to literally just take poop and learn how to photograph really well and take really good perspective images of like just poop in beautiful places.
Oh my God.
One of my original ideas was I wanted to have a dog turd and I wanted to stick a wooden, it's like a wooden stick and you'd put Play-Doh on it if you want to make Play-Doh stand up, sort of a thing.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to shove a long piece of wood through the dog poop to make it stand up.
Okay.
But I wanted to take a downward angled shot of the poop holding a leash and it be holding a small dog. So the dog poop was walking the dog. I don't know why. I thought, I was like, shit, that's deep in some way. And my whole idea was to just entertain myself, but just to see if I were to spend all this money and make all this shit art and put it into a gallery, would people say a gallery opening and walk in and just be like, really see what the artist is trying to say here?
Oh, guaranteed.
And you know, the crazy thing about it is if I were to actually have put all that work into it, there probably would have been a point where I would have been like somehow putting some sort of meaning behind everything I was doing. So I could have, the whole art thing would have swallowed me up and just taken control. But I really, really wanted to do that. I came dangerously close to making my first couple pieces.
I'm so glad you escaped that world, Trevin.
I would have been, but I really think that I could have been known as the Kansas City shit art guy.
You know what?
And I would have been in newspapers, guaranteed.
You know what, though? There is still time.
You know, maybe part of me is only bringing it up in this show to get some sort of backing and help into doing it.
Hey, everyone, go encourage Trevin to fulfill his shitty dream, okay?
It is shitty.
Oh, wow. Poop art. Gotta love it.
Poop humor.
So, have we made it to story time?
Nope, only ads.
Just kidding. Ad time first.
Here we go. So, welcome back. And boy, do I have a story for you. I found this one a while back, and it's one that I've been holding on to, and I just feel like today is the day. We've got Scotty here. Who knows, maybe some other bad animals will come our way, and I just wanted to kind of put my best foot forward and give you a very fun and dramatic story.
Oh my God.
And it wouldn't be in my wheelhouse if it wasn't about one of two things, either capitalism or food. And I'm going food, baby.
Ooh, nice.
So without further ado, I'm going to get in on this thing. And here we go. As an American, I feel that I deserve special rewards for doing my assigned responsibilities. Maybe it's not just an American thing, but like with most instances, we Americans tend to do it way more exaggerated than those from other countries.
I'm loud and want more.
This could all stem from how we were raised. Maybe your mom constantly bragged to her friend about how much of an angel you are, clearly in denial, because you're always a loud little shit who doesn't listen.
I am a bad kid.
So upon meeting with that friend, she decides to make you a bargain. If you promise not to run around and fling shit like the little ape child that you are, I'll take you to the store and buy you any candy you want. And that reward is enticing. With this new agreement in place, you give a C- effort, but your mother still gives you an A+ treat. From that moment on, you feel that any basic act of civility deserves positive reinforcement, more than just the basic human rights that you are lucky enough to have. Like a snowball rolling down an ivory mountain, your entitlement grows at a rapid rate, doubling in size, until any basic act of kindness leads to the expectation of additional payment.
I like candy.
From that moment on, the relationship between you and your mother is that of a terrible worker and a stingy employer. The push-pull interactions continue
You're so ungrateful.
until you eventually move out. The problem with these expectations is that those tiny little arrangements stay in the back of our mind throughout our lives. We get a job so that we can afford insurance and food, but once we've been there a while, we need some additional treats and perks. Of course, this is a little different because every employer is exploiting their workers, profiting way more off of their employees than what they are paying them. But still, those thoughts are there. We get burnt out or start to question how pointless it all feels. This is where the occasional employee pizza party comes in, or being granted the gift of a casual Friday.
Now I can hate my life in comfort.
These gifts are the bare minimum of what an employer can give, but it still somehow boosts morale. Of course, you can't expect these treatments very often, because any manipulative business will admit that they don't want their underappreciated workers to expect such privileges. So like a drunk guy at the bar who strikes out with every girl he buys a drink for,
Hey, sweetie.
you decide to take matters into your own hands.
Oh, mama.
This is where our own personal gifts and treats come in. Maybe you tell yourself that if you can make it through a full week of work without using PTO, you'll get yourself an ice cream. Or you will finally buy that Razor scooter you've always wanted if you clean out the garage.
Awesome.
Although always treating yourself for tasks can be a slippery slope, these self-made propositions can be just the push we need to succeed. I'm sure all of you listening can relate to this in some way, and I am certain that you can really sympathize with the main character of today's story, because this venture into the twisted world of Live Laugh Larceny is going to show you what happens when someone's joy is stolen. Officer DJ was a tough cop, with his finger on the pulse of crime and his foot in the ass of criminals. He took no shit, and most people feared him enough not to give him any. When his colleagues called him out for backup,
I need backup.
they knew that everything was going to be handled fairly and with an iron fist. Officer DJ was the tits. But before you go on feeling like a steaming pile of garbage compared to the great Officer DJ, allow me to humanize him a bit. Due to an agreement with his station, every officer must complete 1 monthly overnight shift at the county jail. To say that Officer DJ hated this was an understatement. You see, the hulking badass that you normally saw on the streets, cracking bad guys' skulls in and making multiple arrests per night, absolutely hated the overnight jail shifts. Everyone did. At the start of every month, each officer dreaded looking at the calendar to see when they were scheduled to work theirs.
Not on my birthday.
And although nobody knew it, Officer DJ would regularly sit in his car and cry to himself before the start of each one of these nights. Because of this, Officer DJ had a little trick up his sleeve to help stave off some of these sad feelings. Each time he had to work a jail shift, DJ treated himself to a McDonald's lunch. Since he was a child, McDonald's was always there for DJ. When he would go a night without wetting the bed,
Good job, buddy.
his mom would always take him to the play place to go down the slide in celebration of his great work. And also secretly piss in the ball pit. As an adult, Officer DJ still turned his sights to the golden arches when he needed a pick-me-up. He traded in his usual order of McNuggets for a McChicken, and his play place fun for crying in the car.
Oh, here comes the waterworks.
It never stopped being a treat for him. It just evolved. On his way to starting his shift, Officer DJ stopped at his favorite local McDonald's to make his order. Stepping up to the front of the line, the cashier and DJ made eye contact. "Welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you?" the cashier said hesitantly. DJ immediately felt self-conscious. The cashier's demeanor had made a slight shift from how cheerful he was to the lady before him. This was a pretty regular occurrence for Officer DJ. When you're tasked with keeping the world safe from danger, it's pretty common for teens and fast food employees to have reservations towards you. It felt like a fair trade for DJ, as he also just assumed all of the McDonald's employees were underground street fighters who sold drugs.
Take this meth and get back out there. We can't lose another fight.
While waiting for his order of 1 McChicken, fries, and a package of cookies, Officer DJ couldn't help but feel uneasy. The more he awkwardly stood to the side, the more he couldn't help but notice employees peeking around and looking at him.
Look, it's a cop.
He nonchalantly moved his hand across his crotch to make sure his fly wasn't unzipped. Nope, he thought to himself. It's not that. Eventually, Officer DJ received his food, and he made his way back to his car. The smells that DJ encountered during his slightly longer than usual wait time caused his stomach to growl. But he figured the anticipation would make the treat that much better. After getting to the jail, Officer DJ put his lunch in the employee fridge and got to work. It was a terrible shift at the jail, as expected. DJ had to break up a fight in the jail lunchroom, while the infamous inmate, One Nut Tony, called him, quote, a cute little piggy anytime he walked past his cell. He fought back tears,
You've got this.
but DJ eventually made it to lunchtime. Officer DJ pulled the sandwich and fries out of the fridge and threw them into the microwave. Pressing start, he watched as the processed sandwich and reheated fries slowly spun on the microwave's turntable. His mouth began to drip drool onto his badge, just looking at the food under the golden lights. But as the plate completed its full 360-degree turn, DJ finally got the full picture of the meal he would be consuming. He gasped as he quickly popped open the microwave. After further inspection, Officer DJ confirmed his suspicions as he dropped to his knees.
This can't be.
He said to himself, weeping on the employee lunchroom floor.
Here we go again.
In the crying officer's hands was his McChicken sandwich, but with just one problem. On one concentrated part of the sandwich was several little bites. Those little McFucks, Officer DJ said under his breath, as he skipped lunch and held onto the sandwich as evidence. The next day, the McDonald's doors flew open as an angry Officer DJ came storming in. All right, you little shits. Someone's got some explaining to do, and I want answers, DJ announced to the lobby. Hello, officer. How can I help you? The same teen cashier from the day before said. Don't you? Hey, officer, me. How do you explain this? DJ yelled while holding up the sandwich. You were hungry? The cashier responded. Officer DJ slammed his hands on the counter while demanding to speak to a manager. Within seconds, DJ was pulled into the manager's office with the woman's full attention. What can you tell me about this McChicken sandwich? He asked the manager. The woman pulled out a jeweler's eye loupe and began to inspect the day-old sandwich. Ah, she began to say to herself. It seems to be of local origin. At least 95% all-white meat chicken. I'd say it definitely came from my location. I also see that you got a little bit hungry and had to try a bite for yourself. I bet it was delicious. That's the problem, ma'am, Officer DJ said. I didn't take that bite. The manager gasped as she quickly broke the glass case next to her desk and pulled the giant red emergency lever. Here at McDonald's, we take food tampering very seriously, especially if this was an act of discrimination towards your profession, the manager yelled over the blaring alarm. Due to Officer DJ's personal stake in the case, his coworker, Officer Marty, came in and took statements, and thus commenced the most important case in the history of the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Not only was this one of the most deplorable acts ever committed in the greater Indianapolis area, but this case stood for the honor of every person who ever had the privilege of wearing a badge. McDonald's management and officers interviewed the staff on schedule while Indianapolis Eyewitness News picked up the story. In an interview with the news, DJ was quoted in saying, "I started to warm up my McChicken, and I noticed several little bites. I know I didn't eat it. No one else was around. I said, you know what? I'm going to the McDonald's to see if they can get this taken care of. I went to the McDonald's and talked to the supervisor. She offered me some free food I didn't care anything about. I just wanted to find out who the person was, and they deal with the person in an appropriate way." It was a town divided, as everyone had an opinion on it. McChicken truthers rallied in the lines for Sandwich Lives Matter protests, while the police simply chose to support the local Burger King instead. The ongoing investigation held consequences that could shape the basis of life, liberty, and the pursuit of convenient fast food as we know it. Knowing as such, Marty did his due diligence and left no stone unturned. It wasn't until a week later that Marty made a shocking revelation. Upon checking video surveillance footage from the McDonald's and jail's employee break room, the case had finally been cracked. There, on the feed from the jail's break room, Marty watched as Officer DJ entered the room to start his shift. He casually sat the McDonald's bag on the countertop and opened up the refrigerator. But before placing his lunch in the fridge for later, Officer DJ quickly unwrapped his own chicken sandwich
I can't resist you.
and took a bite before rewrapping it and putting it away. Officer Marty spit coffee all over his computer monitor, in disbelief that his own brother in blue would be the victim and perpetrator. In July of 2019, an Indianapolis police officer, who kept his anonymity by being referred to as DJ in every article, opened his McChicken wrapper for lunch, only to discover there was a bite taken out of it. McDonald's management, police officers, and Indianapolis Eyewitness News were all brought in to find the culprit, assuming this was an act of discrimination towards a cop. It wasn't until over a week later that the Marion County Sheriff's Office came forward and went public with this statement. Last week, a Marion County Sheriff's Office employee purchased a McChicken sandwich from the McDonald's location at 3828 West Morris Street, Indianapolis. The employee took a bite of his sandwich upon starting his shift at the Marion County Jail, then placed it in the refrigerator in a break room. He returned nearly 7 hours later, having forgotten he had previously bitten the sandwich. He wrongly concluded that McDonald's restaurant employees had tampered with his food, because he is a law enforcement officer. Our partners at McDonald's have been helpful and have assisted in the MCSO investigation into what transpired with our employee. The investigation has determined that McDonald's restaurant staff in no way tampered with the employee's food. He has since formally apologized to McDonald's. We recognize that McDonald's is a valued civic partner, and any insinuation in private or in the media to the contrary is unfounded. No McDonald's employees were punished, and we can only assume that, quote, Officer DJ did not either, as he was able to keep his identity secret throughout the entire ordeal. So there you have it. Sometimes the simplest answers are the correct ones when dealing with some of life's biggest mysteries. You must be mindful when handling this giant McChicken that we call life. There's only so much of it to go around, so be protective of your share. Mindless eating can not only lead to health problems, but it can lead to really embarrassing news stories and investigations. So if you want to look up to a crime fighter, may I suggest McGruff the Crime Dog? At least that guy has a much better track record of taking a bite out of crime.
How damn embarrassing is that?
Stupid.
And also, we have all of these petty criminals that we deal with. For example, the man that you covered weeks and weeks back that faked getting hit by an expensive car and using all these emergency services and how he got in trouble for that. This guy, I guess it's his own services that were used, but other people on the force had to get involved with this. Media people covered this. I'm sure the McDonald's employees got in trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure they were all like really investigated into by cops and by the supervisor with a suspicious eye.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee, I mean, it's not a respected job. People don't really respect McDonald's workers. I'm not saying they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's how it is. Of course, they're going to believe the word of a cop. over
yeah.
them. Whatever their situation is, they're not as trustworthy as a cop. They probably were just like, one of you's lying. And which one of you is it?
Yeah, I can see it now. I'm sure they were, like you said in the story, teenagers or people just trying to work hard for a living. And then to have this guy, God, it's infuriating, but also it's just so damn embarrassing and cringy for him. But
Yeah.
okay.
Who the fuck takes a bite out of a sandwich and forgets they took a bite out of it?
Well, and maybe I missed this little detail. So, okay, there was surveillance footage of him eating the McChicken.
Okay, I made the surveillance footage up.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing that's got to be how it happened because, okay, think about this. This guy was so confident and so angry, and that's what they said in the press conference, was that he thought that they messed with him just because he was law enforcement.
Totally.
So that tells me this guy was probably very stuck in his ways and was just like, no, they're discriminating against me.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 10 days later, out of nowhere, they come forward and have a public statement. And he says, oh, it turns out our officer took a bite from the McChicken and forgot. So
Oh my God.
this is where my way of thinking comes in. Do you really think a guy, if you did something that embarrassing, you just double down and say,
Oh, you'd have
no,
to.
I didn't. No. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, we think you might have. And it's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else snuck in and did it. So there had to have been some sort of hard proof that pushed this guy to be like, yeah, I took a bite of my sandwich and forgot. Idiot.
I know, because the two just don't go hand in hand. You can't be that zeroed in on your own way of thinking and then change. You just don't see that very often.
Yeah, you're not going to gain self-awareness after all the news and people got on you. At that point, that's where you have the most reason to protect yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just don't think that guy woke up on the 10th day and was like, oh shit, I remember that. Like, there's no way.
Right.
There had to have been a way that he was bullied into it. So that's why I say there was surveillance. I'm sure there probably was.
Yeah, something. So it was a spokesperson that was speaking in behalf of the police department that
Yeah, they
announced
made
that.
a public statement.
Damn.
Because it was, at that point, there already were tons of news articles and stuff. And did this even need to be news? You know what I mean?
No.
Like, you know how many times kids probably spit in burgers and stuff and they get in trouble for it and it doesn't make the news?
Yeah.
Somebody maybe took a bite out of a sandwich and it was news everywhere and people were investigating it because this guy probably made a really big stink about it.
Was this fairly recently?
Yeah, it was summer of 19.
Okay. Yeah. Not that it matters, but there's just been so much tension in our country.
Yeah, I mean, it was before pandemic.
Right. Still before 2020. I was thinking it was maybe like in the thick of all of that, but still, that's just, oh God, to make that big of a deal of it. And it was your own mouth that left the bite marks.
Yeah, like, I just can't even.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing that kind of upsets me too, is if somebody would have made this big of a deal and gotten all this news and stuff, if they were
Yeah.
anybody but a cop, their names would have been out.
That is another thing that was so annoying to me. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So you're telling me this guy didn't get in trouble? This guy didn't even get his name released? This guy didn't get jack shit for causing this uproar?
Yeah, at least he should have his name in the news to be embarrassed.
At least publicly shame this man. I am so for it.
When we had Kevin Yang, the cop that ate the other guy's lunches, his name was spread everywhere.
And he just ate a lot of deer jerky. Was it deer jerky?
I think it was deer sausage or something.
Yeah, something really random. This guy, he was blaming someone else for
Yeah.
eating his own sandwich.
Kind of being a bully.
I can't. I will not stand for this. I'm with you. I think that his name should have been released. Like, give me a freaking break. That's the least they could have done.
Yeah, so I'm 2 weeks in a row now doing crime stories without crimes, but hey.
Without the names, yeah.
Well, last week was the dick meet. Nobody was arrested. This was a no arrest thing. So I'm telling tales
Okay.
behind the police force.
Oh my God, you're really letting us behind the curtain.
Yeah, I am. The scary curtain.
Oh my God. Well, that was a true tale, Trevin. And it made me laugh and it made me really mad. But overall, just a great story.
Yeah, it's kind of an upsetting tale, but
It's
that's
just
the truth of our
frustrating.
world.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. Like, are you freaking kidding me? And yes, do I feel better about it because this guy looked like an ass, yes, but we don't even have the guy's real name. So screw that.
Yeah, he probably just has people at the precinct that just like, oh, hey, I have a McChicken today, Terry, or something like that.
They better do that.
Because obviously his coworkers know because he had to have made a big deal about it.
Yeah, they better do that. Okay, well, I also have a story to tell, and it is a story from the news. I kind of told you this, Trevin, before we started recording. I really couldn't write this in the normal way that I usually do, where we kind of set the tone, at the beginning. I'm kind of just jumping right into the case this week. And I'm going to give you guys a little hint here, a little sneak peek. This is another crime that has yet to be solved.
Oh, no. Some people complain. Not for us, but some people complain about true crime shows that don't have the solved case.
Yeah, I know. I was like, really? People have complained about that?
Complained about us. No.
I was like, what? But yes, for all of you true crime sleuths out there, this might be your next case.
Oh, yeah. And that could be the case that we crack and get notoriety for.
I would love it. This one, there would be nothing that could make me happier than if our doomed crew could solve this crime.
Oh, I'm still waiting for the day.
So let's go ahead and get started, and here we go. During the fall of 2022, a quiet Fort Worth, Texas suburban neighborhood appeared normal. There were fit couples walking their dogs on the sidewalk, children joyfully playing tag in their yards, and members of the HOA driving around measuring the height of everyone's grass.
We got a violator. I'm gonna go tell.
It was a tight-knit neighborhood filled with polite conversations,
Thank you.
friendly competition, and silent judgment.
Becky is such a bitch.
The area was a newly developed subdivision, so the residents took pride in its appearance. Out in front of every similar-looking house stood a single immature tree. They were planted in hopes that one day they would grow and thrive, just like the community. But behind the beautiful suburban facade, there was someone lurking at night. Someone willing to cause pure destruction. Harriet was an 82-year-old woman living at the far end of the subdivision. Her house and lawn were well maintained, as she constantly had her grandson doing her yard work. It was a morning tradition for Harriet to walk over to her kitchen window and admire the greenery outside. So early one October day, she did just that. Harriet marveled at her roses and smiled at the baby birds. But as she turned her frail neck towards her tree, her heart nearly stopped. The branches were mangled, causing leaves to scatter carelessly on the hard ground. Harriet shrieked as she slowly walked outside to get a closer look. At the scene, she brushed her fingers along the rough edges left behind on her developing tree. Someone had done this, but who? The following morning, a similar experience occurred down the road from Harriet. Tim and Sally were a joyful couple who never fought with each other, unless it was about who hated who more. They purchased a newer home in the area in hopes of impressing their friends and family.
Is this good enough for you, Mom?
But they had no idea they were about to receive a not-so-nice housewarming surprise. When Tim walked outside to take out the trash, he stopped dead in his tracks. Once he realized what he was seeing, he wailed out in horror and began kicking his bag of trash in defeat. Their young tree was also attacked in the middle of the night. The tree that once stood proudly in front of his home now looked like an awkward teenager with a mangled haircut. After many more mysterious and unsolicited tree trimmings occurred in the neighborhood, the community was on edge. They gathered together in a meeting, exchanging what information they had about the attacks. "I caught the guy on my Ring camera," one outraged man shouted. So did we, said a concerned mom. He appears to be enjoying trimming our trees, accused an older lady. He trims a bit, steps back, admires his work, and keeps going. He must be stopped! Regardless of the community's dedication in finding the mystery man they nicknamed Edward Scissorhands, he is still roaming free today. And although many home security systems captured the man with an unleashed dog cutting their trees around 3 a.m. each night, he has yet to remain identified. Danny Thoman, a resident in the area, was quoted in saying, "He starts trimming the tree and admiring his work and kind of stepping back. We really just want him to stop doing this." And his wife, Ashley Thoman, was quoted stating, "Sometimes he'll just take out a little bit, but then in other people's trees, he'll take out massive gobs. We're all liable for those trees per our HOA. So if something happens to the tree, everybody is paying hundreds of dollars per tree to replace them. So that's part of it. And then I think the other part of it is it's someone else's property, but we also don't want someone to get hurt either." The most up-to-date development I could find on this case said that the tree incidents were becoming more frequent. Recently, about a dozen trees on 3 different streets were hit, and still today, no one is in custody. I hope that one day, this Texas community can have peace, justice, and flourishing greenery. If I could speak to the man who has left so much chaos and carnage behind, I would give him some advice. I'd tell him to leave them alone and cut it out before he too gets uprooted and replanted in the slammer.
That bastard. When did you say this was? This was like super recent?
It was in the fall of 2022. So a lot of it happened in October, and there weren't a lot of follow-up articles. So it only happened a few months ago. And the most recent article that I found still was saying that they have not caught the perpetrator and he is still on the loose. But I did want to show you a picture because I just want to give you the image here. This is the guy captured on someone's Ring camera, and they put Edward Scissorhands in the little in the corner.
And he's not doing anything to hide his identity at all.
No.
So you'd think that somebody would have recognized him.
He looks like he's just wearing athletic workout clothes. Here's some of the damage to the trees. Like on one tree, he cut off all the branches. And on this, which this was a really, oh my God, you guys have to watch the YouTube video of the actual news covering this. Because I'm like, are you guys serious right now? But they're acting like it's the most dramatic thing ever, which I mean, I can applaud that. But like, there's just some branches in the gutter and the news crew's zooming in on the branches and everything. And they're like, yeah, I came out. I thought a storm happened. And my wife said, no, that's just Edward Scissorhands that's roaming the neighborhood. And I'm like, what the hell?
He's like a folklore story of the town. Imagine going through that neighborhood now and just seeing that every single tree is bare now. And it's like they still haven't caught him.
I know. If anyone lives in that area, please tell me if your local news has given an update, because I couldn't find one online.
If you've got an HOA, you'd think you'd almost have some sort of a neighborhood watch or something.
Yeah, they need to form a neighborhood watch specifically for the 3 a.m. time frame where all eyes are on the trees.
And at this point, if it's been happening so many times, you'd think there'd be one person doing a stakeout.
I would.
I
God, I would be so staking this out. I would want to ask the guy so many questions like, is this a type of artwork for you? Because the way...
Is this your expression?
Like, is this how you express yourself? Because the way that they were describing how this guy would trim a little and then step back and kind of get the different angles. And he always has this little dog companion with him. And he's not on a leash. He just follows this man around and he's cutting the trees. And It's just so wild. I have so many questions.
Yeah, doing it once is one thing, but continuing to do it, there's a story there.
There's a story. Are you practicing? Do you want to become a gardener? Because if so, I hate to break it to you, but you're really bad at it. Or are you just bitter that you don't have a tree in your yard? Or like, what is going on?
Yeah. Did you purposely put the names Tim and Sally for like Tim Burton and Sally from Corpse Bride and stuff like that?
Not on purpose.
Okay, I was picking out these different names and I was like, okay, maybe she's trying to loosely do this, but...
No. But that's a really, maybe subconsciously, maybe.
Maybe so.
God, I probably was. Let's get real. My daughter loves Nightmare Before Christmas and all of that. I was probably just thinking that. But the names of the husband and the wife at the end, those were actual quotes, because that's why I said it. They were quoted, and that was the actual neighbors' names. Obviously, the people I made up at the beginning were just to give more backstory. I could have kind of told the story about the couple that he said he thought it was storming out and whatever, but that just didn't seem as fun to me. But yeah, this guy's still at large, everyone. So watch your trees closely.
And that brings me to our connection. Very not so dramatic situations that the news made very dramatic.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Trim trees, making a big deal, a little bite from a McChicken sandwich, and it was big news.
That is so damn true, because even when I was writing this story, I was like, how are there tons of news articles about this, and from very reputable news stations, not just local ones? And I'm like, why is this such a big story? I mean, I had fun with it, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's out there, but really though, when I was watching the actual news about it, I was like, this seems like a joke.
I love that. I find that so inspiring for us when I just see people like, everybody needs to know this, and it's just like, do they?
I know, because the news station, the way they were talking, it was just like, oh, the neighborhood of whatever, they're just really freaking out and they're on edge, just wondering who is trimming their trees at night. And I'm like, okay, guys.
Yeah, these poor victimized upscale white people in their HOA neighborhoods. Wah, wah.
Exactly.
Well, I think that was great. Our stories together made up a great episode, but now we get to go into the bonus part, our special triple feature story from Scotty Landis.
Oh my God. Honestly, Trevin, I'm not even just saying this because I'm on air. I have been really impatiently waiting for this. I cannot wait. I told you it was very tempting for me not to listen to it, but I didn't, and I'm ready.
Yeah, and hopefully this is the first of many guests we're going to be doing this year. I've got a few irons in the fire too.
Nice.
But I am extremely happy to have Scotty on here, and let's just get into this.
Okay.
A name is a powerful thing. Some say the most powerful thing. Of course, I'm kidding. No one has ever said that a name is the most powerful thing. But it is. A name is the most powerful thing. Now someone has said it. A name is a powerful thing. The most powerful. Or is it? It is. As a teenager, I worked at a bicycle shop called The Bike Doctor in Owings Mills, Maryland. It was a brightly lit shop with huge display windows showing off the 80 to 100 bicycles we kept in stock. The store lived between a deli and an upscale liquor store in the newly built Newtown Shopping Center. In the parking lot, I once saw a man choke on a bagel until he fell to the ground. The fall caused the bagel to dislodge itself from his throat, but it did make him throw up. He then sat on the curb and finished eating the rest of his bagel. But that, beloved larcenists, is a different story for a different time. I was only 14 years old when I entered the bike shop and met the owner, Jeff, where he hired me on the spot.
Welcome aboard.
My salary was $5.25 an hour, and I worked every shift available. As a kid who was too young to drive, the Bike Doctor became my second home. Of the 6 regular employees, I filled a unique position in the shop. I was equally comfortable selling bikes and gear in the showroom as I was fixing them as a mechanic in the back. Because of this, I lived in both worlds and had to pay attention to everything and everyone. Saturdays and Sundays were our busiest days in the shop, and it wouldn't be uncommon to have a dozen or so customers at the same time.
Fix my bike.
People would bring in flat tires or rusted chains, and we would repair them as quickly as possible while also selling helmets and power bars to our beloved regulars. One day, I noticed two kids spending a lot of time circling one of the displays where smaller items like grips or gloves were hanging.
You do it.
As a one-time thief who had stolen a Playboy from Walden Books in the mall, I recognized their suspicious behavior and mentioned it to my boss, Jeff, who told me to ask them if I could help them find anything. These kids were 11 or 12 years old. They were white and greasy in the way that kids get in the summer. They needed haircuts and braces. I wouldn't say they were disgusting piglets, but they were gross piglets. Piglets with an agenda. A disgusting agenda that was indeed gross. I approached them and asked if they needed help finding anything, and they said they did not. I asked them if they wanted to buy any bikes today, and they said they already had bikes and pointed to two BMX bikes leaning against the front window of our store. Even though I was only 3 years older than these boys, the tension was tighter than the calves of a triathlete. The only thing on this planet that could cut this tension was, and you guessed it, a grown woman eagerly waiting at the register to buy training wheels.
Excuse me.
After helping a few customers and retrieving a bike from the back of the shop, Jeff and I realized the two boys were finally gone. I walked over to check the merchandise, and that's when I saw it. The ripped-off tags from 2 stolen pairs of mountain bike gloves. I felt sick. Sick like a man who is choking on a bagel he ate too quickly and it made him choke. But unlike that parking lot foodie, I did not vomit. Instead, I took the evidence to Jeff, who barked at all of us to grab bikes and start circling the shopping center.
Boys, let's ride.
In an instant, I was racing out the back door and pedaling past the dumpsters towards a tree line that circled the shopping center. It was an unofficial Bike Doctor APB with 4 bike shop employees aged 15 to 26 who, carelessly, left the bike shop open and unattended to hunt down 2 middle school students on summer vacation. And most importantly, to bring them to swift and definitive justice.
Come out, little piglets.
As I rounded a corner around Libertori's, an Italian restaurant that hosted a confusing amount of bar mitzvahs, there I saw them, the criminals peddling for freedom.
Oh, God.
That's when a little voice in my head spoke up as clearly as the angel Gabriel. It said, "It is up to you. No one else in the universe can catch these two. You are the only person, Scotty, who can stop them." Within 2 seconds, Jeff had caught the boys. He forced them back into the Bike Doctor. I never listened to that little voice in my head ever again. Inside the shop, Jeff had recovered the stolen gloves. He had the boys cornered and was lecturing them when I approached.
I am so disappointed.
Jeff handed me the gloves and told the little perps, "I can call the cops or I can call your parents. The choice is yours." One of the kids spoke up and said that the other one was innocent, that it was his idea all along to steal the gloves and to let the innocent kid go. For some sick and twisted reason that still causes me to wake up screaming most nights, Jeff agreed. He even let the innocent kid use our employee bathroom. Then Jeff asked the bandit, "What's your name?" And the brains of the operation replied, Michael. To this day, that name still makes my blood boil. Jeff pressed the kid for more information. Michael what? And that's when he said a name that still sends shivers down my spine, even if my blood is boiling. Michael Marinara. Michael Marinara. Mike. Marinara. Could this 11-year-old crime boss standing before us truly be named Michael Marinara? There was only 2 or 3, possibly 4 ways to find out. Personally, I was ready to call the FBI and lock these kids up and throw away the key. If it were up to me, they would still be peeling potatoes in Sing Sing. But that's the funny thing about life. It's not up to you. Jeff asked him one more time, "Your name is Michael Marinara," and the kid nodded. Jeff then gave him one final glance to come clean. He said, "I'm going to call your mom now, Mike, and if your name is Michael Marinara, you'll be free to go. And if it's not, she's going to have to come down here and pay for these gloves." The dirty, gross little thief agreed, and they walked over to the cordless phone, pressed the speaker, and began to dial. I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. Sorry, not my jaw, my grapes. I had brought in a bag of green grapes as a snack and they slipped out from my hand. I picked them up. Jeff dialed and a woman answered.
Hello?
Jeff introduced himself and asked if she had a son named Michael, and the woman said yes. She was immediately concerned for his safety. Jeff said her son was fine, healthy even. But then he asked the most important question of them all. Is your son's last name Marinara? The woman said, No, it's Tippett, Michael Tippett. And as reality collapsed all around me, I thought to myself, so Satan does have a name. 2 things happened after that. First, Jeff still let Michael Tippett and his innocent friend go without calling the police or making his mother come down to the shop. He let them go with a warning, not even a slap on the wrist, and as they hurried away to get their bikes, they looked back once before racing away. Second, while Jeff was on the phone and the rest of the employees were watching Michael Marinara turn into little Mikey Tippett before our very eyes, his innocent friend had sprayed nervous diarrhea all over our employee bathroom. So much for a clean getaway. As I, the youngest employee, was made to put on rubber gloves and begin to clean the crime scene in the back for just $5.25 an hour, Jeff once again phoned Mrs. Tippett, and she arrived the next day to pay for her son's transgressions. What can I say? A name is a powerful thing. The most powerful thing.
Oh my God. Okay. Scotty had me rolling over here. Mike Marinara.
I love that name of just a little bastard kid making a lie. What a funny fake name.
Oh my God. I have to say, this kid had guts.
He did.
Because not only was he a little punk ass shoplifter, but he's like, let my friend go. I've got this. I'll take the fall. And then they're like, okay, kid, you're going to take the fall. What's your name? Mike Marinara. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, why would you jump in front of the bullet for your friend? And you've got the adults, and they're like, we're going to call your parents, and you've got a chance to get away with this if you're dishonest. It's like, nope.
No.
Still not going to be honest.
Michael motherfucking Marinara is the name. He said it again with confidence.
Yeah, and even within I'm going to call your mom. No, I'm good.
Call my mom. She's probably cooking up some sweet marinara sauce as we speak. Okay, we have had a lot of fabulous guest readers on our show, but this story, it got to me. It got to me so hard. I don't even know how to express it.
No one has understood the assignment of what our show does better than Scotty did here. And I absolutely love it. He did his homework. He just did such a good job. And you can tell this guy's obviously a writer.
You can definitely, I'm telling, most definitely tell. I could visually just see it all happening. And I have to say, one of my favorite parts was when he said that his jaw hit the floor and he's like, no, never mind. That was my grapes. My grapes. No, the intro, that was also a favorite part of mine. But wow. The story, the writing, the freaking sounds that you added, Trevin, I'm just dying. It had me rolling.
Yeah, he gave me a lot of space to play with the dramatics of it. And I got to say, that was when I knew everything was just going to be great. When I heard that intro, because that intro is something that, I would do something similar to that. Not every week, but here and there. That fun with the narration, almost fourth wall breaking sort of thing.
Oh my God. He definitely got the assignment. Oh, I cannot thank you enough, Scotty. Honestly, I feel like listening to your petty crime story maybe took 5 years. Oh, I was going to say took 5 years off my life. I meant it gave me 5 more years to my life.
Wow.
I feel like it brought me that much damn joy.
That's a good review.
That is a good review if I can say it correctly. My God.
Now I want to see a 5-star review for our show that says that we put 5 years onto somebody's life or something. That's a good ass thing to say.
If somebody could say that about our show, honestly, I'll just love you forever. I would love to hear that I gave somebody 5 extra years. Come on. But I mean it. That story was really good. That one really, 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 really got to my soul. My God.
Yeah, I love that it was more than just a story of something being stolen. The whole after part of the whole name thing, it kills it.
Oh my God.
So thank you, Scotty. That was so good. Everybody, he's from the show Bananas Podcast. Great show. They talk about crazy news, and him and Kurt, they do a great job together. And who knows, maybe one day we could be on there with them.
Oh, we could only dream. But yeah, if you love the petty news stories that we tell, you would obviously love their show. They just do a hell of a job. And if you want more laughs, just head on over there and give them a listen if you haven't already.
They've been around a while. They have a lot of episodes.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Well, that was just the perfect way to round out that episode.
This extra jumbo episode.
I just couldn't be more thrilled with that. And I hope that everyone out there, you are just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to be a dramatic news headline.
Bye.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening to our show. Tell your friends that we are the perfect show to listen to while making your paintings with cow poop.
And if you're the real Michael Marinara, or just a person pretending to be, follow us on social media. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever trimmed your neighbor's hedges, send us your petty crime story to livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And did we put 5 years back onto your life? If so, why don't you tell us in a review? 5 stars only. Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere else.
And he creates beautiful. Whoa. He creates beauty.
Oh, no. That's not even a story.
Why is this happening during the killer fact? I can't.